from their bones. There was no safe place under this crazy and spreading crisis. And our MC, Xie Yan, also seems to have transformed. He has transformed into a piece of land. He is mad because all the other humans got transformed to be human-like, but only he transformed into a piece of land. He didn't even get to maintain his human form. While moving his body like that, his leg makes a land move, and a monster seems to have stumbled on it. And it's the wood monster. The monster falls straight at the metal guy, and one of the metal road pierces through his eyes. Tree guy gets mad. However, the metal guy is confused about why that tree guy is mad at him. They starts to fight while the main culprit watches them from aside. Well, they can't blame him. It's the transformation that caused their temper to get worse. Whether it's the humans or the transformed people, none of them seems to detect our Xie Yan's existence. His perception and state of mind is also degenerating, as if he is really going to become a piece of land. This kind of transformation is no different than death, and thinking about it, it makes him sad. Since he can't do anything, he gets ready to lie down obediently and say goodbye to this apocalypse. Just then a girl comes running to his piece of land. She is being by some monsters and has been running for quite some time, but she hasn't found any normal human who could help her. She was running on Xie Yan, so it was inevitable for our MC to not see those underpants. This view in front of his eyes seems to have awakened something inside him. He stands up shouting, "I am standing again." What does he mean by that? I wonder. Him standing made that land of his also to stand, and the poor girl stumble on that piece of land. She falls on her face, and the feeling he just experienced is one of the three great desires of humans bursting in his heart. A vestige of being alive, a proof of being alive. This feeling reminded him that he is still a human, and the girl is confused about how did she fell. And those monsters have also caught up to her, and it's the tree and metal monsters. They jumps at her, gets ready to devour her, but not in our MC's watch. He uses his finger and makes a hole in land, and tries to bury those monsters in it. Those monsters have been shouting and stepping on his body, and now they are even trying to catch the girl who awakened the feeling of human in him. He is not going to let them have her, not in his watch. He tries to crush those monsters in his land. However, the monsters are also not that weak. They uses every bit of their strength to crawl out from that hole, and it seems like they have managed to cause some damage to Xie Yan's finger in their process of crawling out from that hole. Even though our MC doesn't have any sense of pain, but he is surprised to see that those two actually managed to shatter him. Then we come to know that these monsters are called Darksider, and these two Darksiders seems to be tougher than they look. MC gets ready to protect the girl first. After all, she is the one who awakened the feeling inside him. He makes a cave from the land to cover her. She is also surprised to see that, because something is protecting her, and she can't see it. And now he gets ready to go all out, even though he is a land that doesn't speak and doesn't attract attention. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have temper. And those two monsters are causing trouble in his territory. They dare to try to snatch the girl who awakened the feeling of human inside him from his own territory. He gets ready to teach them some lesson. The two monsters jumps at him together. These two monsters seems to have become buddies after they fought earlier. They manages to land a perfect hit on our MC, and I wonder how did those monsters manage to do that. I thought they can't detect him. Anyways, their attacks didn't do any damage to Xie Yan. After all, he is a land. He gets ready to strike back, shifts some weight of his land to his hand and strikes those monsters. His attack seems to be super strong. He manages to shatter their metals and woods into pieces. He makes another hole. The monsters fall into the hole. Xie Yan then crushes them inside. He seems to have got some nutrients for his land. Now that he has taken care of those two monsters, the person he saved will leave his land, and this is making him sad because he will be alone again. After all, no one can detect his existence. However, he wants to see it again to recall that feeling of being human again. She comes to him asking if he is the one who saved her. Xie Yan is surprised to see that this girl actually can see him. Turns out, she can't see him, but she seems to be able to feel him. And right now, she is feeling that around him, there's a thick and heavy sense of security. Xie Yan grabs her hand and tells her to just stay there and lie atop of his body. This surprises her a little. He introduces himself that his name is Xie Yan, and he happened to be passing through there when the transformation occurred. And as a result, he transformed into this piece of land. And according to what he knows, the world no longer has any safe place since the eclipse happened. The Darksiders are attacking normal humans everywhere. He tells her that he will protect her, and as she can see, he still has the intellect of a human. If she is alone out there, she will be easy target for those Darksiders. She needs someone to protect her, and he gets ready to be that someone. He then comes out clean, tells her that these are all just excuses. The reason he wants her to stay with him because he finally found the reason to continue living. So he has to fight for that reason to stay. He asks her to remain beside him. This is making her a little confused because he said so much all of a sudden. It's hard for her to understand. He gets ready to make it simple and clear for her that he wants to raise her and support her. She then introduces herself, and that her name is Luo, and she can also feel that he sincerely wants her to stay. And she also needs a place to hide herself from the monsters. She gets ready to stay with him. This makes him super happy and gets ready to find a good place for her to live. Then he notices something different about his hand. He also gets shocked to see his fingers and hand. His body is being dried up. Something seemed to be eating his body from inside, and it's some kind of a plant that is draining his land's energy. Don't tell me that it's the tree from evolution begins with a big tree. If you guys are enjoying it, then please do 500 likes on this video. Next, just in a few seconds, the plant seems to have drained most of his essence. He is now turning into drought. Luo is worried about him seeing him dry up like that. Xie Yan notices that something is absorbing his energy, and it's coming from that direction. The direction where he is pointing his finger. Luo gets an idea, and she thinks that this idea of hers can actually work. She then puts her fingers inside his mouth. Xie Yan is happy because all of a sudden he's getting the fingers of a girl stuffed into his mouth. Then he gets shocked to see that he has recovered from the drought. She informs him that it's the fertilizer that she has with her. She then informs him that she is a student from the nearby agriculture university, and when she was escaping, she brought some supplies with her. Didn't expect her fertilizer to be this useful. She thanks Xie Yan for getting those fertilizer back for her, but she lost most of them while she was running for her life. Xie Yan thanks her for giving him such an amazing fertilizer, and he thinks that she is indeed his fated lucky star. However, the effect of the fertilizer didn't last that long. He gets ready to find the source of the problem and solve it once and for all. They come to the location where the plant is. Xie Yan can feel that plant is absorbing his essence. Luo is surprised to see that plant because she has never seen such plant in her university. She wonders if that plant have also become a Darksider. There is a possibility, and Xie Yan is confused about how a little plant can drain him dry. He gets ready to see how tough that plant is. He uses his soul to uproot that plant. However, he didn't need to do that. The plant uprooted itself, and it seems like the plant has some kind of balls in its root. Xie Yan is shocked to see the giant tumors growing on that plant's root, and the roots are super strong. Even the power of his land is unable to destroy them. Luo notices the plant. It's called rhizobium. The tumors are rhizobium, and the plant is leguminous plant. She informs Xie Yan that the rhizobium helps leguminous plant to absorb nitrogen from the atmosphere, and it has mutualistic relationship with the plant. So even if he stops giving it nutrients, the plant is already self-sufficient. Now he is in trouble. He doesn't know how to destroy that plant because even his land can't destroy its roots. What is he supposed to do? The plant attacks Xie Yan with its root, but he manages to dodge it. However, the plant was not attacking him. It was just reaching out for the bodies of those Darksiders Xie Yan killed earlier. The plant starts to eat the two monster, and turns out the plant is also a monster. The plant monster then attacks Luo with its root. Xie Yan blocks the root by getting penetrated by it, but he managed to save her, and is shocked to see the power of that plant. It's much stronger than those two human Darksiders from before. Luo is getting worried seeing him like that, getting penetrated by the plant's root. Well, there is no need of getting worried, honey. He is a land, and the other party is a plant. It's only natural for plant to penetrate the soil to get nutrients from it. But this plant is getting too much out of Xie Yan. He tells Luo to run away from there. He gets his face slammed by one of those balls, but he is not going down with just that kind of attack. He gets ready to buy some time for Luo so that she can get away from there. He tells her to run away from there because this is his own matter, and he can't involve her into this. If he involves her, how can he talk about protecting her and living together? However, Luo doesn't seem to have any plan of running away from there, leaving him behind. The plant changes its target and attacks Luo with its roots. She uses some kind of liquid on it. The liquid burns that plant's root. Turns out the liquid she used on that plant is a herbicide, and those bottles of herbicide she just used as the original solution that hasn't been diluted. After getting hit by that herbicide, all of the roots of that plant starts to shatter. It turns into that little plant again. Now that it has turned back to that little plant, it has lost all its will to fight back. Luo thinks that Toot Toot has surrendered. This surprises Xie Yan, thinking did she just give that thing a name? She also understands that Toot Toot is giving them its own fruit, begging to spare its life. This surprises Xie Yan even more, thinking how can she understand the Darksider's thoughts? She also doesn't know how, but she thinks it's because she always liked hanging out with plants, and compared to the other Darksiders, darksiders. The plant thought seems to be easier to understand for her. The plant prostrates and begs for forgiveness now that she has accepted its fruit. And Xie Yan is just getting surprised after surprised. After receiving a threat to its life, the plant's manners are becoming more human-like. Looking at the fruits, Luo thinks Toot Toot transformed into a monster from a potato. She notices one of the fruits doesn't have herbicide on it, so she gets ready to try it, and Xie Yan is also recovering from the damage. She cuts a piece from the fruit and eats it, just to see if it's edible or not, which is scaring the crap out of Xie Yan. She is just eating something of the plant that was trying to eat them earlier. Xie Yan comes to her asking if the fruit is poisonous. However, she is still chewing it, so she doesn't know. She thinks it's edible, but they will have to cook it first. On the other hand, this is scaring Xie Yan. He gets ready to pour some of his soil into her stomach and suck out the poison, but she only tasted a little and didn't really swallow it. She then orders Toot Toot not to absorb the nutrients from the ground so viciously, and it can only absorb if Xie Yan agrees. Xie Yan then asks Toot Toot what did it absorb from the two darksiders' bodies just now. It was kind of a dark colored, so Xie Yan gets ready to call dark element. Toot Toot takes out that dark element. Xie Yan gets ready to check it. After touching it, it enters inside his body. After that, he starts to hear some voices, the voices of the trees and the plants that are on his land. The plants notices that someone is coming to their side, or more like the plants informs him about someone coming to their side. Now he can also understand Toot Toot, who is asking him if the dark element is tasty. Xie Yan is shocked because now he can understand the plants that are growing on him. He wonders if this is because of the dark element. Toot Toot informs him more about the dark element, and that it's the dark element that changed them and make them stronger. The monster that the plants informed him about is coming to their side. It jumps at Xie Yan and Luluo, but it gets its body pierced by the land. Luluo is shocked to see that Darksider suddenly appearing behind them. Thanks to the plants, he already knew about this monster approaching them. And what's more, now the control and the power of the land have also increased. He has become stronger than he was before. He devours that monster in his land and extracts the dark element from the monster and absorbs it. He is surprised to see that the dark element is present inside all the Darksiders. Even if the Darksider is killed, the dark element doesn't disappear right away. He gets ready to continue absorbing the dark element and continue getting stronger so that he can protect Luluo and have better chance of survival. She is happy for him as long as he is alright with it. Toot Toot is confused to see such a strange woman because people are afraid of Darksiders, but she is not, and that's because she grew up playing in the soil. She is familiar with everything that's in a farm. Xie Yan is surprised to see the intelligence of Toot Toot is already on par with humans. He wonders if it's because it absorbed the dark element from the two Darksiders just now. Xie Yan gets ready to coexist with Toot Toot, and now he also has more control over the nutrients in the ground. He asks Toot Toot about the dark element it just took out. Where did it come from? Toot Toot informs him that it came from the light and there is plenty in the light. The light of the eclipse. Xie Yan and Luo both realize something. Xie Yan tells Luo to hide in the shade of the tree. Luckily, she's been staying in the shadows all this time. He finally understood the reason behind the transformation of the humans into Darksiders. It's the eclipse. The eclipse is the reason for the apocalypse, and also the energy source for the Darksiders to get stronger. Next, Luluo seems to be going somewhere. She gets excited to see the traces of cultivation remaining from before in that open land in front of her, and it seems like Xie Yan is having trouble moving. And Dudu is surprised to see a piece of land moving. It's his first time seeing this. Hearing him is making Xie Yan mad because the plant has the guts to make remarks while riding on his head. Even though Xie Yan have transformed into a piece of land, he can only walk around in a limited area. If he wants to leave the limited area range, he has to slowly push his soil out and move forward with it. The places that he moved through will then eventually become a part of him. Luo notices the soil there isn't bad, the terrain is also safe, and she is also sure that there will definitely be a way to get a water source. She gets ready to make that place into their long-term refuge. Xie Yan also agrees with her. He then notices something. There is that dark element on Luluo's body. Xie Yan picks the dark element from her body and informs her if there isn't enough protection from the sunlight, make sure she doesn't stray too far away from him. This is their agreement, because he doesn't want to see her transformed into a monster like him by the dark element. His statement makes her angry because he has always been a human in her eyes. Seeing their chemistry, Dudu is confused. Oh yeah, the name of that little plant has changed from Toot Toot to Dudu. And well, it's a plant. What can it understand about the emotions of humans and their chemistry? Luluo gets ready to plant some seeds that he brought along when she was escaping from the school. My goodness, what other things did she brought when she was escaping from the school? Wait, was she escaping from the monsters or from the police for stealing those goods from the school? Anyways, Xie Yan gets ready to handle it. Xie Yan gets ready to plant it on himself first, because he just arrived in that land, and the land under his feet hasn't fully turned into his land. Surprisingly, he can also hear the voices of the seeds, who are eager to grow into plants. Xie Yan is also surprised. He thought he can only hear the voices of the plants growing on his land, but surprisingly he can also hear the voice of seeds. Moreover, he doesn't know why, but he seems to be able to convey himself to the seed as well. The seeds germinates. Luluo is shocked to see that the seeds germinate so fast. She just gave him and the seeds has already germinated. Xie Yan plants it on the land, and he noticed something after he absorbed the dark elements. He seems to have awakened some innate ability. He notices that he used up the stored dark element and transformed it into a power that increases plant growth. Then he notices something poking him, and it's Dudu, who wants him to nurture him as well. Xie Yan informs him that he is not going to nurture him unless he completely listens to his orders. Poor Dudu. After that, Xie Yan builds a shelter for Luluo. He also gets ready to spread his land to absorb the dark element. Now he knows that the dark element gives him special energy, and this energy can be used by transforming it into positive effects. A wonderful virtuous cycle. He thinks this is the most joyful thing that happened after his chance encounter with Luluo. His land can protect humans, but he also wants to turn back to human. He wonders if he can turn back to human again. Dudu comes to him and informs him about dark element nutrients and moving nutrients. It turns out that the Darksider is chasing some humans, and the Darksider who is chasing those humans is the youngest son of Carnage. Look at those weapons. He has the same weapon like his father's. One member of the group seems to be running out of his energy. The girl in the group tells him to shut up because his shouting might attract more Darksiders. The guy running in front blames the girl, whose name is Liu Fengyuan, because she insisted on coming back to find Luluo after receiving a message that she asked for help. If not for Fengyuan, they wouldn't have ended in this situation. The guy running behind falls down. He almost got his leg chopped. Luckily he fell down. His name is Cheng Jun. The monster jumps at him. He is sure that this is bye-bye for him from this world. But something stops the monsters, and it's the soil. He stops the monster because he heard those humans speaking of Luluo. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, then click this video on the side.